Hey guys, this is Migo from GamerVets, and I'm back with another Evolve gameplay video. This time I'm playing as Cabot. So Cabot is the third tier support character, and quite frankly my favorite character of the game. So let's run through Cabot's abilities. First, he's got, as all support class characters do, he's got the cloaking device, which basically just cloaks him and anyone within a short radius around him. He's also got a railgun, which is a single shot weapon that deals a ton of damage, but it's single shot, so every time he shoots you have to reload. He's got a damage amplifier, which doubles the amount of damage that's being done on a target. And as you see, what I try to use here is his dust tagging ability. Basically that sends down a radioactive cloud of dust that outlines all monsters and wildlife that it catches. So earlier I mentioned the damage amplifier. That's basically what I'm using right now, and what it does is it fires a ray that catches the monster, and it's a continuous ray that you have to basically be at line of sight to use. And as long as the monster is caught in that ray, any damage done to the monster will be doubled. So it's always good to be mobile as a Cabot player. You can't kind of stand back like Hank, waiting to drop the orbital barrage. You kind of have to dart in, use the amplifier, dart out when you're getting attacked, and take pot shots when you can with your railgun. It's really important to be able to switch. So sometimes I'll actually use the quick switch perk when using Cabot. Another perk that I tend to use with Cabot is the fast reload, or quick reload I think perk. Basically that just allows me to fire more shots with the railgun in a shorter amount of time. And I think it also gives me like quicker recharges between dust tags. So you'll see that the monster escaped, and out of the three monsters, the Wraith is the one that really can't afford to not evolve. I mean, I've seen games where both Goliaths and Krakens were able to take out a group of 4 hunters, plus Daisy, at stage 1, and the Wraith really needs to evolve at least to stage 2 to be really effective. But once it's evolved, it's a pretty formidable opponent. Actually, it's probably the hardest to kill out of the 3 monsters once it's evolved to stage 3, primarily because of its sheer speed and the abilities that it has. Its abilities are geared towards really hit and run tactics and darting in and out, and then stealthing out, and then finding a place to feed and recharge its armor. So you got to be mindful of that when playing against a Wraith opponent. I'm going to fast forward a bit here because we frankly just lost its trail, and we're trying to chase it. Now the Wraith is probably the worst monster to try to just chase, and you really need to coordinate and try to split up so you can flank it and anticipate where it's going. Otherwise you'll be running a lot and allowing it to feed, run, feed some more, and get away from you. So we were fortunate here because it started to evolve, and we caught up to it. So here I'm trying to shoot at it. I pull out my damage amplifier and try to amplify, but that probably wasn't the best idea. I probably should have just kept shooting it. I was assuming that my teammates were behind me and able to at least do some damage. And you just saw there that it darted out right from underneath the dome. So you really need to be on your toes if you want to catch and trap a Wraith player. Alright, so I'm going to fast forward a bit, and while I do so, I'm going to talk about the different types of support. So as you know, support is there really to support and buff the other hunters. And so we have Cabot, Bucket, and Hank. But they all play very differently, and all the hunters really play differently from each other. But the ways they support are different. So Hank is really there to protect the other hunters and potentially deal damage, while Cabot and Bucket are there more to aid the tracker in finding the monster. So Bucket has his UAV and Cabot has his dust tagging. So I wanted to slow it down here because it's important to note where your teammates are and what they're doing. You can see there the little skull icon showed up, which means that one of my teammates is in trouble. In this instance it's Val, and she's being eaten by one of the wildlife. So it's really important, if you're going to split up, to at least keep tabs on where your teammates are. You don't want to run into the monster and then realize that your teammates are actually fighting wildlife behind you somewhere. So just make sure that you're keeping track of that. And you can see that the monster has staged up, so it's at stage 3. Whenever it evolves, the monster loses all its armor, so it's really important that once you see it evolve, a lot of people will think that, oh, maybe I should go back to the power relay once it's at stage 3, but if you're close to the monster, it might actually be better to go after it. Here we were fortunate because the monster was actually close to the power relay when it evolved, but when it evolves, it loses all its armor and needs to build that back up. So it's really the best time to deal damage to it, because you're dealing damage straight to its health and not to its armor. So when you're playing as a support character, it really helps to have an elevation advantage on the monster. When you're Hank, it's easiest to target an orbital drill when you're elevated and you can see more of the ground. Same thing with Cabot and his dust tagging. You know, with Bucket, because his primary weapon is a rocket launcher, it's much better to be elevated so that when you're firing and you miss, you can still get that splash damage. So we're getting close to the end of this video, and it's obvious that the monster really just wants to fight right now. It's not even trying to escape, and it's just really focused on just killing all of the hunters. And right now I'm really just focused on switching up between amplifying damage and dealing damage. So it's really, you know, going back between damage amplifier and the railgun as it wails on one of my teammates there. So as a Wraith, at this point you probably want to be escaping and regrouping, recharging your armor so you can come back and, you know, and take out some of the others, but they really just wanted to kill us. At the same time, our assault character is actually doing a really good job at controlling where the monster's going. You can see the green haze over there, that's Hyde's toxic grenades. And he's doing a really good job of discouraging the monster from finishing me off and doing a lot of damage to me. So the monster's down to 1 bar of health, and we're going to eventually finish it off. But just to recap, if you're playing as Cabot, make sure you're supporting the Trapper. Think of him as a secondary Trapper for your team when you're not in battle. You know, even consider splitting up into pairs. And when you're in combat, you should be amplifying damage as much as possible if teammates are near the monster or shooting at the monster. And if not, switch to your railgun and shoot them like that. Alright, thanks for watching another gameplay session with the GamerVets. You can visit us online at www.gamervets.com. This is Migo from GamerVets signing off.